Extra time, not Immaculate Grid. This is the bonus show for generations, talking about my sports generations. And we've been off. We kind of dialed it back this last week or so. So the last extra time show was Dia de los Muertos Raiders. Was last week, was last Wednesday. And of course, the last big show was this past Saturday. And it's proving to be pretty popular, these last couple of episodes. So last Saturday, we review our favorite nicknames. And then coming up for this coming Saturday, and of course, the big show drops on Saturdays at noon Pacific, we've got coaches over the generations. So a lot of you have liked our favorite players and teams over the generations. That was a couple of weekends ago. And then we have our favorite nicknames. But this is the Extra Time show. And we've kind of gotten away from the Immaculate Grid. We're still playing every single day. And we haven't heard from any of you, the listeners. Again, we thank each of you. But we haven't heard from you as far as, whether you want us to keep doing Immaculate Grid for the show from a daily perspective. So because of that, kind of cut back the content here a little bit for a little while. We're doing baseball, of course. Rangers win their first World Series. Bruce Bochy gets his fourth win, his fifth visit to the World Series. And his overall career record is below 500. I think he's a Hall of Fame manager, no problem. Not even thinking twice. And I think it goes to show, if you look at the Padres this year as an example, that just because you have this collection of good players, you still need to have someone that can kind of put it all together. But strangely enough, Bob Melvin is supposed to be that kind of guy as Bruce Bochy. And, the Padres let him go, let him walk, and he goes back to the Giants. Originally a Giant, came up as a Giant. So he was behind the dish with Krukow, Will Clark, Robbie Thompson, Matt Williams, Kevin Mitchell. He'd be behind the dish with Terry Kennedy, Gary Carter, Bob Brenly. Name some of the catchers. Steve Decker, eventually Kurt Manwaring. So just because you have the players, look at the Yankees in the 80s. They were doing everything they could to purchase players, and it never really amounted to much until that 96 season. Well, of course, they had Jeter. And then build from within and then add the pieces. We've talked about that before. But it's the Extra Time show. So picking up from a little bit from last week, the Raiders get rid of McDaniels. Great. A lot of Raider fans are super happy. Raiders look super inspired on Sunday. But, they're playing the Giants. Let's call it what it is. So the Giants aren't very good. Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes gets hurt, might be gone for a while. But the Raiders did look inspired. Had 8 sacks, I believe, 3 of which by Mad Max Crosby. So, if nothing else, I think this goes to show you, like in real life, when you're doing really, really well, very successful, let's say you're on a team, a business team, and you're doing really well, selling a lot of stuff, getting awards, making commissions, whatever. You put up with a lot. But the moment that you're not getting paid or you're not, quote unquote, winning the game, that's when those little things start to matter more. I think they matter all of the time, but they start to matter more. And you look at the Raiders, they were smoking cigars at the end. So, yeah, they beat a bad team, but they just were having more fun. And the Raiders could go, so they're 4-5 now. So there's 8 more games. They could go 4-13 the rest of the year. But as long as they're having the fun and the freedom to play, to do their best, even if the talent isn't necessarily there, which actually they have decent talent. It's not like they're that bad outside of the quarterback position. They have decent talent. And you could say the depth behind Adams and they haven't even utilized Renfro this year. The depth behind Adams on wide receiver is pretty low, and they haven't even uncovered the tight end position yet this year. But having fun means a lot. I mean, I think in the order of things is winning and having fun is number one. Winning and, it's a grind, number two. Having fun and losing or not winning as much, number three. And then if you're losing and you're not having fun, that's the worst scenario. So if you're going to do a 4-box, for those in the business world, and you understand the 4-box, everybody wants to do a 4-box. X and Y axis. Top half winning, to the right winning and having fun, to the top left winning, not having fun. So basically, if you're on the x-axis to the right, that's having fun. If you're on the y-axis above, you're winning. You want to be to the far right, having fun. You can put up with a lot when you're winning. Things start to become a grind, and then you lose the team. And McDaniels, I don't know, that dude. It's weird. You meet these people in life, and there's a gentleman just recently met, first time. Meet the guy, and I'm like, man, this dude's a phony. Talks in all the buzzwords. Shakes your hand. He's kind of got like the over enthusiasm meeting you. And in the back of your head, you're going, oh, this dude's kind of fake. And it's not that I write him off right away, but then it's like someone comes up to you after the fact. It's like, oh, did you meet so-and-so? And you're like, oh, yeah, I met him. And then they tell you unsolicited, yeah, that guy's fake. That guy's phony. And then you're like, wow, in the back of your mind. You don't say it out loud because you don't say those kinds of things in conferences and business meetings, those kinds of things. And you go, huh. So my first impression was right. And McDaniels is that guy. I don't even know him. And you just look at him and it's like, oh, the guys that are the smartest guys in the room, when they show it, it's very subtle. And when they show it, they typically just showing it by showing you how smart they are. They just do it. They just do what they do. And in the things that they do, make other people feel uncomfortable because they are that smart. That's how they do it. When you think you're the smartest dudes in the room, you try to go out of your way to show that you're the smartest person in the room. And it becomes very transparent to people that you're not and that you're trying too hard. And that's Josh McDaniels. That's the vibe I get from that dude. That he's the guy sitting there trying to tell you, oh, I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm doing all these tricky things. I'm doing all this neat stuff. And it's like, okay, whatever, dude. And, in regular life, there's people that are like that. And I meet those people all the time. Oh, yeah. We're doing this. We're doing that. They're doing this. They're doing that. Okay, that's cool. Like, what value can you bring for me? People always want to, in the business world, a lot of people come to you and they want something from you, but they don't express what value or what's in it for you. And the business relationships that I have that are successful are the ones where they get something out of a deal and I get something out of the deal. And it's mutually beneficial. it's kind of funny. You listen to a lot of different podcasts or different shows. You listen to or watch TV shows or different kinds of things. And there's this perception of like, oh, well, he's a hard negotiator. And they leveraged him and they leveraged this person. They leveraged that. The best deals, there's no leverage. It's value. It's the opposite. You're not putting somebody in a bad spot. You're extracting value and you're getting value for your service and they're getting value for their service. And service could be money. Service could be an exchange of ideas. It can be an exchange of physical work, an exchange of goods. There's a lot of different ways. And there's this perception, and it kind of frustrates me for either non-business people or not, even worse, non-trained business people, that there's this whole, oh, well, I got to negotiate hard to get what I want, to get what I need. And, I'm the one holding all the cards. So I'm going to squeeze you for every last, penny or for your last, piece of materials. It's like, no, you enter an agreement like that. You do it once and then you're like, man, I'm never doing business with that person again. And then when you stay in those types of business relationships and then they don't turn out well, or they put you out of business, or they put you in a spot where you're not able to do the things that you need to do for the people that are actually willing to pay a value, commensurate value for your good or service, that's not a good scenario. You get rid of those customers. And this whole idea of negotiating hard, I mean, that's a myth. That goes back to, television, Wall Street, whatever it is, movies. Stupid. Real life isn't like that. And if you are in those kind of situations in real life, those are not good deals. I'll tell you right now. Typically, if you're in those kinds of deals, those are the type of customers or type of vendors, depending on which side of the fence you're on, that either A, you're getting the worst service, B, you're not getting commensurate value for what you're paying for it, or C, they're not delivering what you need to be successful. One-sided deals are exactly that, one-sided deals. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants to deal with people that are only looking out for one-sided deals. I've worked with these people for decades, and I shut out all those people. The people that always want something from you, but they're not willing to give anything back in return of commensurate value. And it doesn't even have to be immediate. In the business world, there's a lot of people that are very transactional in their relationships and everything that they do. It's pretty common to see it all the time. And it's not necessarily the bad thing. It's okay to be transactional if they're willing to be transactional by trading value for value. And you can have a disagreement on what you think is valuable and what they think is valuable. And then you come to an accord to understand what and how they value certain things. Again, value could be money, value could be ideas, could be information, could be materials, can be actual goods. So you can have like a disagreement on the sides of what those values are. But when you negotiate, that's when you negotiate, say, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to take your thing, I'm going to put it in my thing. And then when I put it in my thing, I'm going to reconfigure it, repackage it, and I'm going to put it out. And my customers are willing to pay this much for my service. So I need your thing to hit this price point or cost point, however you want to look at it. Typically cost. There's a whole nother rant, the difference between price and cost. We can talk about that. Probably need to create a different podcast just to talk about business. And have that discussion. Say, look, I need you to hit this. So if you can hit that, and here's the quantities that I'm going to use and all those kinds of things, boom, we're cooking with gas. And the person's like, hey, man, my stuff's worth more than that. Okay, well, maybe you don't need all the functionality of everything they need. So then you can say, all right, well, I'll tell you what, your thing does 10 things. I only needed to do 5. And you're charging me, or you want to charge me 20% more than I'm willing to pay. Can you take those 5 things out and we hit the price point that I need it to be? The answer might be yes. That's negotiation. Negotiation isn't, oh, well, I'm the only guy that can supply this, so it's 20% more than you're willing to pay or whatever it is. Suck it. You have no product. No, the reality is I'll go figure out someone else that can do what you do and do it for what I need. And it might take me more time. It might be a big hassle. I might deal with you temporarily just to keep my things going. But long term, boom, you're out. And not only are you out, I'll never deal with you again, ever. And people will put people in business timeout for decades. And I've experienced that. I've worked for companies like, boom, this guy did me wrong. I'm not dealing with your company again, even though that guy's been retired for 20 years. That's how this stuff works. Josh McDaniels is that guy. Josh McDaniels is that guy saying, I'm the smartest dude in the room. I have to keep telling you that I'm the smartest dude in the room because I'm not really comfortable to know that I am. And on top of it, I'm so phony. All I'm going to try to do is take, and I'm not bringing you any value. And the value in this instance are wins. And the other value they're bringing in is happy associates. The associates aren't happy and you're not winning. If you're winning and the associates aren't that happy, okay, we'll deal. But the moment they're not happy, boom, this is where we are. Look at Belichick with Cleveland. Look at Belichick right now. When they're winning and you got a chance to get a chip, and you get that chip, and then you get a chance to get that chip and get the New England shine on you and go somewhere else, boom, you get paid. Richard Seymour, Raiders, overpaid for him, both in draft capital and paying the man. Now, hey, good on him. But that is the shine that you received by associating yourself with New England, playing on New England in the last 20 years. You get this shine, whether you're a previous player becoming a coach. Oh man, that guy's been with the Patriots. He's got shine because they won. But it's coming out now that a lot of these players like, yeah, we win, but he's kind of a hard ass and not really that fun to play with or play for. And there's a lot of these little rules or things here and there I'm not down with, but we won, and hey, that was important. I want to win. Okay, that is fine. A real leader talks about and gets everybody on board, shared goals, and gets buy-in. And you don't have to like it. But if you buy in and you don't like it, that's on you. And that's what Belichick's actually able to do. He's actually able to get people to buy in. So even though they're like, I'm not down with all these different rules, he's got them to buy in. And the people that don't buy in, those are people that get shipped out. But McDaniels he wasn't even able to get people to buy in. When you're phony, people see right through that. When you are genuine and saying, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's kind of the thing. Let's work together and let's make it happen. Getting inundated. Technical issues. But anyway. But when you get people to buy in, they're willing to go the extra mile. And they're willing to give you some leeway to get to the success, even if you're not successful right away. But if you're going to come in, dictator, here's how it's going to be, here's how it's going to go, and you're going to do it my way or the highway, and you don't have that buy-in, and you don't have the respect of being real and personable, you're going to lose your team. You're going to lose your associates. That's what McDaniels did. And so they basically said, hey, man, this sucks. You suck. We're not winning. And oh, by the way, we're not happy. So we're going to go to the big boss, Mark Davis, and we're going to make you eat 80 million plus in contracts because we're not here for that. And that's the corollary between business and sports. And I think it's true. I think it's true in any industry, any walk of life. If you have a leader that communicates and gets you to buy in on the process, on what you're You're going to give them more, even if there's rules or things here or there that tweak you one way or the other. Nobody's perfect. But when you have someone that just comes in and just bull in a china shop and just starts laying down the law and hasn't communicated what the goals are, communicated what you're trying to do, how you're trying to get there, how everyone can help pull the rope, and have open communication and just say, hey, hey, this isn't going to be perfect. We're going to have bumps in the road. So if we have some challenges and it's not transparent, hey, it rolls all back up. Let's have that communication. Let's get these things fixed. We're not intentionally trying to make people's jobs hard. We're not intentionally trying to make people do more work than the salary that they are brought in at. I truly believe people don't try to do things on purpose bad. But when you push people and you start to put strains on them, they may not intentionally come in to do bad, but they'll draw a line and they'll say, here's as much as I'm willing to do. You didn't give me that raise, or you're not paying me the appropriate amount. Like, person over here has the same job title, same responsibility, and they make more than me, and they don't do as much work. Well, now I'm gonna drop down my performance down to their level. How about those apples? I mean, those are the types of things. Terms like quiet quitting, all these different types of things. It's all a function of it. Josh McDaniels is that guy, and that's what happened. So here we are. Most teams have played 9 games. You've got a handful of teams that still have some bye weeks coming up. You have 13 teams in the AFC that are 4-5 and better. You have the Colts and you have the Raiders that are both 4-5. And the Colts play the Patriots and the Raiders play the Jets. If the Raiders have the same level of intensity on defense as they did this last week, and the Jets, of course, are not very good offensively. Their defense is championship caliber. But if the Raiders can bring that kind of intensity, you're going to have the Colts and Raiders at 5-5. And that's going to muddy up the AFC even more than it already is. I mean, your top 3 teams are the Chiefs, Ravens, and Jaguars. Jaguars have had a bye, but the Jaguars are 6-2. Ravens look like they finally, they kind of felt like they started off slow. I don't know. That might be a weird way of saying it. But the Ravens feel like the Ravens of old now. Now that they're 7-2, I know that sounds weird. You've got the Dolphins that are 6-3, but all 3 losses are against, winning teams. They haven't beat a team with a winning record for something. I heard a stat that they haven't beat a team with a winning record for over a year. Something like that. Some crazy number. Then you have the Steelers. Steelers won't die. Under Mike Tomlin, Steelers won't die. They're always going to be there. They may not go to the Super Bowl. They may not, even go far in the playoffs. They won't die. That man has never had a losing season. Never. You talk about setting a standard. That dude sets a standard. I guess George Pickens was, seen on the sidelines grousing because Deontay Johnson got his first touchdown in over, almost 2 years or something like that. And the team was super excited that he finally scored. And of course they came back and won. And George Pickens was grousing. And so they asked Tomlin about it. And Tomlin's like, that's what I want. Guys not happy that he's not getting the ball. That's what I want. I want guys that want the ball. I want guys that aren't happy that they're not able to contribute in a way that they believe that they can. He leans into it. He set a standard. And I don't think anybody thinks that Tomlin is an offensive guru or genius. He's always had offensive coordinators that he's brought in to do the job. But I think where Tomlin is Tomlin is a leader. He sets a standard. Sets a standard. Here's how we're going to do things. Here's how we do it. And I need you to buy in. And if you buy in, here's the rewards and recognition that we get. And if you don't want to buy in, that's okay. It's not a dig on you. You can go play somewhere else. That's fine. And we'll even help you get there. And Tomlin is a leader. Man, I just looking at that dude. You look at that dude and go, man, I want to work for that guy. He just has this presence. Josh McDaniels, man, he's got that walk up and punch him in the face. It's funny. And I don't want to make this a race thing in any way, shape, or form, but man, Josh McDaniels has that face. Like you want to walk up and just punch that guy. You don't even know him. Whereas Tomlin, you look at that dude, you're like, man, what do you need me to do, coach? I'll run through the wall for you. He just has this aura, this gravitas. And Tomlin, man, that dude, he makes mistakes and he owns up to it. And says we'll do better. I'll do better. Wasn't it Tomlin that kind of feigned somebody was running down the sideline? This is early in Tomlin's career. I think it was Tomlin. Someone was running down the sideline and he kind of feigned tripping him or doing something, and he took a lot of flack for it. Dude owned up to it. He didn't sidestep it. He didn't try to gaslight anybody. He says, I got to do better. People want that. People aren't infallible, but they want people that are willing to step up and atone for whatever it is. But presumably, again, Colts and Raiders, both pretty good shot at winning this week. They're both going to be 5-5. You're going to have 13 teams. You have 13 teams now that are 4-5 or better. So the Jets presumably will go to 4-5, and everybody else is going to be 500 or better, more than likely. Chargers play the Lions. It's a toss-up. So if they beat the Lions, they'll be 5-4. If they lose the Lions, they'll be 4-5. Browns are hanging in. Bengals are hanging in. It's weird, right? Every single team in the North right now is playoff eligible. Then you look at the NFC, and man, it's garbage. Arizona Cardinals 1-8, Panthers 1-7, Bears 2-7. That's the Thursday night game. Tomorrow night, Bears and Panthers. Like, who cares? That is awful. They need to come up with a better way to do Thursday night football if they're going to keep it. Giants are 2-7, right? They just got rolled by the Raiders. Presumably lost their quarterback for the rest of the year. Rams are 3-6. They just brought in Wentz. Packers 3-5. Bucks 3-5. Falcons 4-5. Falcons are going to be 500 presumably. They're playing the Cardinals this week. Cardinals are 1-8. Kyler Murray back, maybe. So maybe it becomes a little bit harder game. The Commandos, they're 4-5. Man, those guys aren't any good. The Vikings, out of nowhere, lose their quarterback. Cousins goes down. Let's bring in Josh Dobbs. This dude's been on 5 different teams in like the last 2 years or something. And they win. I want to say the Vikings, didn't they start off 2-4, 1-4? So they're on a roll right now. I mean, the 49ers are banged up. They've lost a couple of games in a row. They were easily the best team in football at the beginning of the year. Eagles are rolling 8-1. And yeah, you got the Lions. I don't know. NFL, man. And if you look at the teams that aren't any good, look at who the head coaches are. Look at the head coach. Is the coach a know-it-all? And he wants you to know that he's a know-it-all. The know-it-alls that are good know-it-alls know they know it all, comfortable that they know it all, and they show you that they're a know-it-all just by doing what they do. And that might rub you the wrong way, but they don't, they don't need to prove the point that they're smarter than you or better than you, what your job is or whatever it is. They just do. That's how they show you that they're better. And they don't flex. And maybe once in a while, if you're like a snot, they'll flex on you just because, like, to put you in your place, that happens. But in general, Boom, they got the gravitas, they got what they do because they walk in, it's like, hey, here's what it is. And there's people that have that. And you can develop it. It's not like, hey, you're born with it or you're not born with it. But you can develop it. And I do a lot of, training and help people to achieve what they want to achieve. I don't know. I find sports simple, easy. I find business simple, easy. And there's corollaries across both. It's all the same. Leadership, teamwork, culture. And if you have good leadership, if you have good teamwork, if you have a good culture, more often than not, you're more successful. When you don't have those things, more often than not, you're not successful. And if the culture is a single person, that's tough too, especially if that culture is toxic. You got a toxic leader and that guy just, I've seen that. I've worked for enough of those dudes and they think they're the best. And they think they're all, oh, how's your family? How's this? It's like they're phony. They think that that's leadership. Oh, because I asked you about your family. Nah, brah, you suck. You think you know what you're doing, but you don't. You never learned. No one ever taught you. You don't read. You don't take classes. You're, whatever education you've done, you kind of leveled off. And that was it. And you stayed there. And these leadership books from the 70s, 60s, the 80s, it's all kooky talk. Most of the stuff is just garbage. Just garbage. And then you get into some of the newer stuff, and okay, could be a little flowery, even for my take. But what elements can you take to incorporate in what you're doing to create an environment where people want to come to work? I'll take somebody that wants to come to work, try their hardest, and learn anything and everything they can than somebody that's been doing the same job for 10, 20 years and allegedly really good at their job. Maybe they are. I want the other person. And I want to create a culture around that and reward people for that. Reward people for thinking, using critical thinking, using logic, using data. And the Raiders didn't do that. Now, I'm not saying Antonio Pierce is that guy. I think Antonio Pierce can be the emotional leader and then surround himself with the technical guys. And maybe Antonio Pierce is a technical guy. I don't know. I mean, he's a defensive player, and maybe from a defensive perspective, right? He sees everything, he understands it, he knows it, boom, and he can bring that to the team. In a weird way, it doesn't matter. As long as he surrounds himself with the right people on the technical side and he can be that emotional leader and he can be the guy that sets the standard, kind of like I think what Tomlin does. To be a leader, you don't have to be good at everything. It's just not required. If you look at Tombstone, the movie Tombstone, great movie about leadership, where you've got Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer. Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer, right? He's the better shot. He's the faster shot. Wyatt doesn't need to be that. He needs to be the leader. He needs to be a better leader. He is a better leader. Kilmer's not the leader, but he needs that guy. And it's okay to need that guy. And that guy knows he doesn't want to be the leader. He needs the person that's willing to do the dirty work that leaders do. And that's the kind of thing that you need. That's how you're successful in anything in life. So this is the Extra Time Show. 4 generations talking about my sports generations. We've kind of got off of Immaculate Grid. I still play every single day. Baseball one. It's starting to repeat a little bit. I'm going to do some kind of recap maybe for the year to show what categories have been used over and over again and have a report out on that. That's a lot of work. I'm working on it. But this is the Extra Time Show. I'm Jonathan. Check out the Nickname Show. We got coaches coming up this Saturday at noon. Check that episode out. We're over 1,000 listens, so appreciate that. We're having a listener appreciation party coming up. We will announce when and where that is. That is going to be this calendar year. So if you're traveling, if you're coming to Ventura, come join us. Anybody is welcome. But we'll see you. Extra Time for Generations, talking about my sports generations. I'm Jonathan. We'll see you.